Hi dreamers. Sometimes the hardest part of investing is simply starting. You're watching videos, researching, thinking a lot about this. But the first step is kind of scary. You want to make passive income, but you've worked so hard for your money, and the thought of losing it is terrifying. So I thought I'd approach investing from another angle. What if you decided you wanted to try to make an additional $1,000 every year for the rest of your life? Today I'll show you how I'd do it in 3 different ways, with all stock, all REITs, and all ETFs. Let's look at these scenarios and dream about the possibility of $1,000 a year forever. Okay, so let's start with a stock scenario, and here we are inside of my TD Ameritrade Income Estimator tool, which of course is my favorite tool. You can also learn about other free tools in my video, Stock Market Research and Tools. So let's start building this portfolio. I'm going to first add AbbVie, which is a healthcare company, and to that I will add IBM, which is of course a tech company. Next I'll add T, which is AT&T, and let's go ahead and add Altria and MFC, which is a insurance company, ENS, Bank of Nova Scotia, and finally AQN, a utility company. So now what I want to do is just change quantities. Let's say we'll have 30 stocks of AbbVie, 30 of IBM. AT&T stock price is pretty cheap, so let's say we have 140 of that. We'll do 45 of Altria. MFC is also cheap, so we'll do 125 of that. BNS, we'll do 30 shares of BNS. And finally, 125 of AQN. And then we hit calculate. So let's take a look at this. What we have here is a really nice, even flow across the year. It nets out to $1,003.04. You get about $83.59 a month and a weighted average of 4.96, which is beautiful, right about that 5% dividend yield. In this portfolio, we've got a nice mix of tech, healthcare, consumer staples, telecom, insurance, banking, and utilities, so kind of a nice spread across sectors, with no one sector or company weighting too highly. And so the total you'd have to invest to generate this $1,000 would be $20,211. This to me would be a nice beginning stock portfolio to generate that $1,000 every year for life. Now, of course, over time, both the price appreciation of these stocks should increase, in addition to receiving increases annually from the dividend yield. So really, this $1,000 is just the starting point, and it would increase every year, especially if you have DRIP turned on, which would be automatic dividend reinvestments. So that's my example stock basket. Let's take a look at a REIT basket. Okay, so let's look at the second way you can earn $1,000 every year for life with REITs. We'll start over, and now let's add in some of my favorite REITs, and that includes O, IIPR, WPC, and STAG. Now let's change the values to get this right. IIPR is more expensive per share price, so let's go with 30 there. WPC, we'll go with 40. O, let's put in 150. And STAG, 125. And this is what the result looks like. So we've got half of it into a monthly payer, which is Realty Income. And if you've been following me for a while, you know this is my favorite REIT. And it's a monthly payer, which is nice. And the other 50% split between IIPR, which is a marijuana grower REIT, STAG, which is a commercial REIT, and also WPC, another commercial REIT. So in this example, you would generate $1,006.22 The average weighted dividend yield is 4.58, and you would have to invest a little bit more than the stock portfolio with $21,961. Now, there's a couple of cons to this approach. One is, as you can see, the uneven payout schedule across the year. And the other is in the form of taxes. REITs are not as tax advantageous as stocks, and they are taxed as ordinary income. So with this approach, it's best to build it inside of retirement accounts versus taxable brokerage accounts. But using my favorite REITs, this is what a $1,000 a year forever portfolio might look like. Okay, let's move on to the third way, using ETFs. Start over. And the ETFs I'm going to use are broad-based. Let's start with SPHD. We'll add SCHD. And then some Vanguard products, VNQ, VOO, VTI, and then we'll add in Devo. So let's change some of these amounts. VOO will do 10, VTI 15, VNQ 50, SCHD 150, SPHD 135, and Devo will do 150. Calculate that out. And there we have it. We have 6 ETFs paying an average yield of 2.82, generating $1,007.42. So what we have in here is SCHD, which is basically a very broad-based market basket, and about a third of the money we have in SCHD. We have Devo, which is kind of a hybrid product, part dividend and part covered call income. So the taxes on Devo are a little bit different, and you can learn about all of these ETFs in detail in my ETF video. SPHD is also a broad-based S&P 500 ETF, more focused on high yield dividends. And then we have Vanguard products, one focused on real estate, one focused on broad-based S&P, and one focused on tech. So one thing you're probably noticing is that this approach requires more capital. We've got $35,725 generating $1,000 a year for the rest of your life. But the reason why this is so much more is that the risk involved in this portfolio is way lower. You essentially have investments across real estate, tech, S&P 500. You've got a little bit of covered call, amplifying your return. And so Devo is the most risky of all of these ETFs. But overall, these are large, market basket, market-wide ETFs. And so, of course, the lower the yield, the lower the risk. Now, with all of this said, you can, of course, do a hybrid. But sometimes it's interesting to see clean examples to more easily see differences in the approaches. Now that you have these ideas in mind, it might be a good time to remind you that before investing, your first order of business should be to build up an emergency cash bucket. Then think about how much you could invest that you would not need to touch for at least a couple years. At least. You don't want to get into a situation where you're putting money at risk that you need for everyday expenses. So keep that in mind. All right, thanks for spending time with me today. I hope it got your wheels turning. And as always, I encourage you to do research, then implement and learn by putting it into practice. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.